What we're going to do today is a classic pH test. pH stands for potential hydrogen, and we have some suspicions with these cushions here that something unusual has been used on them. We're going to start off with just distilled water, and we're going to try our pH test kit, which is a litmus test or litmus tape. You can see when it comes off the roll, it's just a sort of a orangish yellow. So if I put a couple drops on here, what I'm looking for is that it doesn't, a 7 is what we're looking for ideally. So if I hold the pH paper up to the scale here, it's not 4 to 5 or not 4 to 6, so it's not a 5, and it's kind of orangish yellow, so I'm going to say it's about a 7. So we're going to use that as a 7, meaning it's completely neutral. And now we're going to take our distilled water. First of all, we're going to take our black light and find that spot that I'm looking at, which is right here. I think you can probably see that under the black light with the camera. And we're going to wet it. Now if I used water that was not distilled, if I use tap water, it might be 7.2 or 7.1 or something like that, which isn't a huge deal. We're not dealing with medical supplies here, but I like to use distilled water just because it tells me that it's a good control to use, and I like to be a little bit precise with my measurements. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of fill that up with water, and now I'm going to gently just tap it. And I'm going to see what color it is. Alright, so that color looks neutral also. Remember our test, this is our test strip right here, and this is our control. And this is our test strip, so let's compare. They look very similar, about the same. If I hold it against the scale, I don't see any difference. So that's a 7 also. We're going to have to call this spot, whatever it may be, at least neutral in state. We're going to try it one more time. This time I'll not use as much water on top. Now I want to make sure that I don't drag this across here, because it could pull some of that pH dye off of here, that test dye, and transfer it onto that sofa, and that's not easy to get out, or that cushion. So we're going to try one more side here. I'm just going to kind of tap it on there and see what happens. I was able to get enough on there. Maybe a little bit acidic. Let's see what the scale says. Not much. It's like maybe the high 7s, 7.5 or so, but it's not 8. We're going to call it approximately neutral. And that's how we do a pH test. Normally we would do a pH test on things that we suspect may change colors on us. This particular one has an ever so slight brownish cast to it. You really can't even see it, which led me to think there might be some kind of neutralized or some kind of pH imbalance to it. And then I fired up the black light to see if there might be any additives to it, such as fabric softener, fabric whitener, something that would have an optical brightener in it like this. And I don't see hardly anything here, just that big splash right here. I do see a bunch of, it's real heavy throughout here with splatter, a bunch of splatter through here. It's as if somebody took a spritzer bottle and used something like Snowy or a fabric softener on this, because nothing we would use would have an optical brightener in it or a fabric softener built into it. There's a big spot right here. And it is possible that that's what's throwing this off. If you think about how light works, it's a reflection back to our eyes. Since we predominantly see the shade differences here with natural light, looks a little bit kind of grayish almost. Underneath a black light, there is some sort of heavy black light reflecting here. Perhaps it's spilling onto here, and there's nothing approximately right here, except like a little dot. So there's really nothing between here and here. I guess it's possible that that's what's throwing off our natural eyesight, to think that these aren't even. We've already cleaned these a couple of times. We've used a reducer which pulls the pH down. This is a cotton, linen, and polyester blend. I think it's got linen in it. It's hard to tell when there's cotton in it, but it kind of smelled a little bit off to me. So that's it. We did our pH test. We determined that whatever is there is not at least something that's high in or low in pH to the degree that it might throw off a color.